Hey guys, welcome to catch ups with people doing the epigenetic program, so the unique body blueprint. I have Julie here, who's recently gone through the 8 weeks. How you going, Julie?
I'm good, thanks.
That's good. With Julie, I guess we've seen some incredible results. Julie is a Guardian HealthType, which made a lot of sense to her at the start. She was a little bit worried with what that meant. Do you remember like when you started up and you saw some of the information around that?
Completely freaked out. I remember reading through the information and thinking it was very spot on. It described my personality to a T. Um, but at the time, I was going through a few things, and so I was a bit concerned about doing the whole epigenetics diet, if you're going to call it a diet, or way of life. But yeah, I think luckily the first week I was actually sick. And so I was just able to follow things without any thought. And in an odd way, that actually kind of set me up for the whole 8 weeks. And yeah, I feel like I progressed really well after that.
For sure. And you're not the only one, especially the Guardians. I mean, for people that don't know, with the Guardian lifestyle, it is a bit more plant-based, especially when we need to make some changes to your health to improve your health. So what do you think was the biggest standout thing for you that you're like, oh, that's going to be hard to change?
A lot of my favorite foods were taken away. Actually, like I wake up and I have a Turkish coffee in the morning, and that's like strong. And I was like, I don't know how I'll survive. But yeah, I think it was just like there was so many restrictions of food. I tend to eat. I'm a binge eater, but I tend to eat fairly healthy. But I overeat, hence my weight gain. Um, so a lot of my healthy foods were taken away, what I thought was healthy for me. And so I thought I'm going to really struggle on this. But in the end, I found one thing that I absolutely loved and thought, right, well, I'll just center it around this, which was yogurt. And that just worked for me.
It's quite incredible, isn't it? So you said like you always overate, you always like binge eat. When you implemented the timing and some of the better foods, that just stopped happening, right?
There was almost next to no thought. I went through the first week, and because I was sick, there was no thought, and then it set me up for the second week, and I just found that I wasn't thinking about food, I wasn't hungry, I was content, and I was moving about my day, doing my things, not thinking about when my next meal was,
No, that's
which
perfect.
is true.
Yeah, it's such a strange thing though, because yeah, you're not alone. It's definitely happened across all Guardian clients. I even had an Islander bloke be like, I don't even feel like an Islander anymore. You're not eating excess amounts of food, which is great because no one wants to be overweight, right? You want to feel healthy. And because I guess you've lived a life where you said you thought you were eating the right things for yourself, I guess were you in a bit of a battle with yourself? Like, what the hell? I'm doing the right things and I don't necessarily see the results.
So a quick summary of what's happened to me over the last few years. I put on 30 kilos. And it all started off with I was like a gym junkie, healthy, and then I got plantar fasciitis. And the medical advice that I was given was that if you think you can walk somewhere, because I walked to work, work was only 5 kilometers down the road, so I'd walk to work. They're like, don't, catch the tram, catch the bus, catch the train, And so I went on that path, and I just, because exercise is my outlet, I just compensated with eating. So I put on 20 kilos, and then COVID hit, and I was in Melbourne, and it was lockdown. And so I put another 10 kilos. And then after that, it was just the constant battle of I know how to eat right. And then trying to lose weight, and then just feeling hungry and unsatisfied. And then it just got out of control. And when I joined the epigenetics, it was only because I was reading a book at this time and it spoke about epigenetics. So I thought this would be interesting, but I had no confidence whatsoever that it would work. So I'm still kind of surprised till today that I guess my mental state and that it's actually worked and that I want to continue on with it.
That's so cool. So I guess because you're already training with us, you're with us for a little while before you dived into the
Yeah.
epigenetics. And were you seeing any
But I was
results leading up to that or not really?
no, because there's a lot of things happening at the time. I joined the gym to kind of get my mind off things, but when I joined the gym, I actually put on 4 kilos, not because of the gym, but because I was binge eating.
And yeah, I don't
Yeah.
take accountability for that or anything. Like it's like just to, because I would have thought I was doing the right thing until we learned that you need these different things, right?
Yeah.
So it's fascinating in that sense for me as well. Did you have any foot problems still, or that was fully gone before you joined us?
So it comes back from time to time, but luckily it hasn't flared up in the last 6 months.
And then you mentioned mental health. I guess, what do you think contributed to that with the program?
What do you mean
Like in
exactly?
terms of improving it, was there things where you felt like improved your mental state because you were going through quite a bit?
I think it was a combination of going to the gym and having an outlet, and then also not feeling unwell because I've eaten bad. So I think it was a combination of those two things that really improved. And look, I've just moved to Sydney, so I don't have a lot of um, social outlets. And so the gym really is my time to like, I mean, like, for instance, you've got so many different trainers with different personalities, and each one gives me an outlet in some sort of way. Like Jamal's absolutely hilarious. So when I go, I know I'm like in for a good laugh while I'm working out. And you're always like, you guide me really well, which I really love. Um, so yeah, I think it's just been the combination of going to the gym, eating well, and just that eating well has really put my mind into a really like, stable place. I mean, I still struggle because I mean, at the time, I was looking for a job and that was driving me insane. And then also just not having a social outlet. So just having the gym to go to at the end of the day and eating well, I think just really stabilized me.
That's awesome. And we did talk about sleep a lot. I think that was one of your biggest obstacles for
Oh,
most of the
yeah.
program.
Yeah.
But when I was able to look through your profile, understand like, work is still important. It's lower on your priorities, but then, social as well. And work is a social outlet. So I
Mm.
think having that information to be able to guide you, and the week we talked about it, it was Genius Week, and it's a big stress for guardians in particular, financial stress, and um, yeah, just having something to belong to. So, what was the improvements we noticed when we started to change the way you were thinking about your work?
I instantly, I think that night that I made, well, that day that I started to go, okay, I need to think about this differently because, I mean, it's just a battle getting a job in Sydney. Um, and then so I rewrote a plan of what my expectations are for myself. And it was like, I don't even like my job, so maybe I should be thinking about career change. And as soon as I started to write it down and wrote out a future plan, that night I instantly fell asleep. And it's been fairly consistent since. It's not perfect yet, but it's been fairly consistent, which is great.
No, that's awesome. And I guess mindset still has a massive part, whether it is epigenetics or whatever. We actually have control over our genes through our mind. There's a couple of other really high end. What book were you reading before that was talking about epigenetics?
It's Dr. Joe Dispenza. Oh, God, how can I forget the name?
Changing the habit of you. So that's how I first got introduced to it as well. But then this world gave me like I kind of understood the concept, but then to have this lens from PH 360 and understand that there's so much more to health than simply food and fitness, which you still did
Mm.
focus on, but seeing that rapid improvement in sleep, that means your stress levels are going to improve. And then what happened like 3, 4 days later, you got a job. Which is crazy. It relieves a lot of stress. I know you said it's only temporary and it may not necessarily be that future direction, but now you just have that bit of stability to have a little less stress again and move forward, which is really cool. It would get pretty boring. Sometimes working from home can be a bit boring too. So I know how you feel. In terms of people that are kind of on the fence thinking about joining but not too sure, what would you say to them, the reasons why it's a great idea?
Well, thinking about myself, I wasn't ready or motivated to do it at all. To be honest, I really had no faith. It was only because the word epigenetics was mentioned, and I'm like, I'm curious. But I think sometimes you don't have to be ready. I think the want is there. And like me, I've tried a million times over the last 6 years to try and lose the weight and get my health back. Just take a leap.
Awesome. Because we're down, what, 7 kilos, we're sleeping better. There's your
Seven
clothes are fit.
kilos.
And typically for Guardians, it's harder, right? So you did a fantastic effort there. Just the way their body works, everything is a lot slower. But when you stay consistent, which can be the hardest part, I think, like you said, having someone to guide you through it, just that soft accountability, not to be angry if you're not doing exactly steps every day.
So that was, I think, that brings up another thing. The key there was I told myself from the beginning that I'd be really kind to myself and I'd start meditation. So, try to be kinder to myself. And I also wrote down the reasons why I was doing this. So when, I felt like strain, because I knew the disappointment that would come if I strayed. I just reread my notes every day on the reasons why, and that really helped me.
No, I love that. We all need constant reminders. Even the most successful people in the world do it, regardless of their health type, just to redirect the ship. So much happens in life. So to be able to do that,
Yeah.
that makes sense. Do you have any future goals that you're looking to achieve now?
I think, well, there's 15 kilos left to go. Um, but I'd say the last couple of weeks, I've noticed my fitness improve. And so that's been really exciting for me. So I think just have my fitness improve a little bit more. And yeah, I'm focusing on career change now. So yeah.
Yeah, awesome. We might need to line you up for our next obstacle course or city to surf, whatever floats your boat a bit more. Yeah, cool. We'll pop that around the gym and stuff anyway. But yeah, thank you so much for jumping on and sharing your story. It's exciting to see the changes you made, and I'm so glad you just dived in. I think, yeah, hats off to you for just trusting the process and being willing to listen. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much.